Hello, everyone, and good evening. I am currently here in Washington, D.C., and I would like to thank you all for joining us on this roundtable on how the federal government is responding to the devastating impacts of Tropical Storm Fred in our district here in Western North Carolina. I know for me, it was heartbreaking to see the devastation caused by the flooding during my visits to the hardest hit areas. When we were driving around, we got to go past where they had closed down all the roads, and we were just trying to really take in exactly what my constituents were going through, and seeing so many people's lives literally uprooted and destroyed. It was devastating. And a lot of these people's lives who were destroyed, this was everything they had. A lot of the homes that are higher up inside of the county of Haywood County, or maybe in the other counties that were affected. Sometimes there'll be second homes or things like that, but most of the homes that are down by the rivers that were where the real damage happened, those are these people's genuine residence. This is where they live. This is everything they have. This is where they raise their families. And then everything was just washed away into the river. It was devastating to see, but I did get to meet face to face with several farmers in Henderson County, Buncombe County, Transylvania, Haywood County, people who had suffered a lot and who had suffered great storm damage. We're trying to get the FSA to be able to allow those farmers to document the damage on their own instead of having to wait for the federal government with all the red tape that exists there to come down and document it. That way they can go ahead and get planting, put cover crops on before the winter comes. I met with several small business owners. I will never forget when we were driving down that road. The one that was closed down was only open to residents of that area. We actually got to see a fruit stand that was legendary in the area. It had been there for decades and decades. But then to see just how much mud had been put inside of the building. Thankfully, it had a very, very strong foundation of concrete and of strong materials. And so the actual stand didn't float down the river, but just to see the devastation that had happened, to realize that this person probably wouldn't be able to sell produce for the rest of the year. It was incredibly sad. I did get to buy some really, really incredible peaches from the gentleman, so I was very happy about that. And my whole family's been eating peaches since. We got to meet with several elected officials. We were the first federally elected official on the ground down there, but so many of the local elected officials were there. So many of the pastors, so many of the firefighters. They were on the ground working so incredibly hard and diligently. And the people of Haywood County, really where there was the worst effects of this tropical storm, they all banded together. It's incredible to see the strength of the people of Western North Carolina in times of crisis and how we all band together. But for those of you that are watching now, this is being live streamed on YouTube and share on Facebook. If you have any questions that you would like to ask me, you can comment them in the live stream or on Facebook, and my team will flag them for me on my phone towards the end of the program. I'm in Washington, D.C. right now, as I already stated, but I wanted to let you know that we are currently voting on the National Defense Authorization Act. This is something that takes a lot of time, and it's kind of haphazard and messes with a lot of people's schedule. So there may be some moments I might have to step away to go and vote on that and then come right back. But if that does happen, my staff will handle the rest of the call and everything should go well. But I do not foresee that happening in the duration of this call. Today, I'm excited to have with us Joe Stanton with the North Carolina Department of Public Safety. We also have John Boyle with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Kathy Cook with the Small Business Administration, and Rob Satterfield with the United States Department of Agriculture. I'm hoping to get an update from every single one of these officials explaining to our constituents exactly what's going on. But right now, we're going to start with Joe Stanton with North Carolina Department of Public Safety. Joe, would you please share with what your department is doing to assist my constituents in recovering from the flooding, and also speak a little to what's already been done and what's going to happen?
Sure. Thank you. And also, thank you very much for having this. And I hope this is one of many. Communication is key in our recovery efforts. I appreciate it. North Carolina Emergency Management, Department of Public Safety, we have been working since before the storm. One of the first things we do is operate the Emergency Operations Center. Our staff actually has some field people that actually go into the county and starts working during this event. We were in Haywood County and other areas working one-on-one with those through the event. And then later on, people like myself and others were in the field working and putting together the basic documentation to go after the preliminary damage assessments so that we could put the numbers together. This is day 16 since the date of the declaration. We are still trying to, are working with FEMA and collecting to try to get 4 more counties added for public assistance. We have done quite a bit of work with debris collection. State of North Carolina has a statewide type of debris contract that has been procured. It allows for communities such as Haywood County, Buncombe County, Transylvania County, and others that needed the debris collections to go ahead and jump and move forward. And it saves about a couple of weeks in that, and they have done that and used that. We are providing housing or assisting in the non-COVID, non-congregate sheltering. We currently have, I think, around 80 to 90 individuals in that shelter. And we want to thank Lake Junaluska and that area for providing, allowing these individuals to live there. It's a great location because we can provide wraparound services there to those individuals. We have a tremendous amount of work ahead of us. We're just at the beginning. We're working with the communities and the applicant briefings, starting to put together the project formulations to begin rebuilding some of these infrastructures that have been damaged. Also, some trying to get permission to do additional debris work. Because as you've seen, the devastation was tremendous in certain areas, and it's going to be very difficult unless we do this debris work for these communities to go back. But in all, I'm very delighted to have everybody here. I look forward to everybody's conversations, and I look forward to the conversations from the citizens that have been impacted and others on the call that may have questions. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for having me.
Well, Mr. Stanton, thank you very much for that update. You know, I share your frustrations of trying to get the actual FEMA declarations of disaster for those other 4 counties. You know, I wish it could have been done a lot faster, but I'm very thankful that we do have the declarations that we already do have. I promise that I'm working side by side with you to try and streamline that process. I do also have to give you you and your an affiliated agency of the North Carolina Department of Emergency Management. Both of your departments, really your guys' plan of action for when these disasters do strike our state. I was actually blown away with the organization, how quickly it was deployed to get everybody around. I was very impressed, and I just want to say thank you for that. I do also want to move on right now to John Boyle with the Federal Emergency Management Agency. John, would you mind giving us an update similar to the one that Joe just gave?
Absolutely. And again, thank you, Representative Cawthorn, for this opportunity for the town hall to come together, people to talk about this challenge that is going to be, as Joe said, a very long-term effort. The area has suffered a great deal. I was out with Joe, meeting with the counties and getting to understand the challenges and viewing the impact areas. We're working closely with each of the 3 counties and the state. So this effort is locally executed, state managed, federally supported. So we're here to support their efforts in overcoming this challenge. I want to start with individual assistance, a FEMA program that we have. On September 8th, as Joe mentioned, President Biden approved the major declaration. I was here the 9th and started working with Joe and his team immediately. Federal disaster assistance is currently available for individuals and households affected by Tropical Storm Fred. We are promoting people to register for that assistance in Buncombe, Haywood, and Transylvania counties. And the first thing I want to emphasize is that any resident in those counties who has been impacted by Tropical Storm Fred should register with FEMA. That's the first step in applying for assistance on this. The individual assistance program may be able to help with grants for temporary housing, basic home repairs, or other disaster-related needs that are not covered by insurance. So we at FEMA, we can't make people whole in this process. We don't take the place of insurance. So for insurance is always the first line of defense when disasters happen. But we may be able to provide assistance to help get started with recovery. So it's easy to apply. It doesn't cost anything. And the number is 800-621-3699. 800-621-3362. Now repeat, 800-621-3362. Or you can visit disasterassistance.gov online and register on the internet. Or FEMA has an app, FEMA app, and you can register through that app as well. So let me touch on stats here. I'm looking to my right on make sure I get the numbers right. As of September 22nd, we have approved $1.58 million for 318 households in Buncombe, Haywood, and Transylvania counties. So Buncombe is at 278,183. Haywood is at $1.27 million, and Transylvania is at $36,887. So, and at this time we have disaster services assistance on the ground in small teams in each of the 3 counties. They go door to door, they connect with individuals and households and talk about what their impacts were, and they have equipment available to register people right on the spot. We've got a couple areas in both in Haywood and Transylvania County where there's communication and internet access issues. So we brought in our mobile communications vehicles to help support that process so that we don't have any gaps, we don't have any waning for that assistance. Housing inspectors are also on the ground, and so they're looking at the impact. We've completed 601 inspections so far in the 3 counties. We're partnering, and you'll hear from the Small Business Administration shortly. And Small Business Administration has 2 business recovery centers, and they've approved, I think, 72,700 for disaster assistance through their program. So a great partner on all of this effort across the federal family. My commitment as a federal coordinating officer is diversity and equity as we go out, and we're trying to focus on those areas that are hardest hit, those areas that are vulnerable, and we're touching on local church congregations, and we've actually had the opportunity to talk to some of the congregations, and both us and SBA jointly to talk to those congregations about the importance of applying to FEMA. I'm also going to touch on public assistance. In addition to the individual assistance program, public assistance is available in Avery, Buncombe, Haywood, Madison, Transylvania, Yancey, and Watauga counties. And public assistance is related to the infrastructure impacts, roads, underground pipelines, and in some cases, private nonprofits, including churches, could be eligible depending on their status and the programs that they work toward. So we want to make sure we get that message out to local churches that are providing public services across the area, that they can come and talk to the state, talk to us, and we'll work with them on potential eligibility for assistance. Let's see here. I think what I'll do, because we are just now getting engaged in the public assistance program, I'm going to kind of jump to a few concluding points that I wanted to bring up. We're just, first and foremost, FEMA is just one part of the recovery solution. So local, state, volunteers, and again, as you said, Representative Cawthorn, going out and seeing the level of volunteer support in these communities is very heartwarming, and I want to promote that needs to continue. And we'll continue to work closely with North Carolina Emergency Management and the 3 counties. And again, thank you so much for this opportunity to spread this message about the federal support that's available to your constituents. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, John, for your update. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, I do want to just give props that we got the major disaster declaration. I believe that's probably that's really, in most terms, it's the Mac Daddy of kind assistance that FEMA is able to give. So we're very, very excited that we were able to have that. John, thank you for assisting us with that. Again, for those of you who are trying to apply for assistance in the affected areas, I know that there's a lot of minutia whenever you're dealing with the federal government, but that is literally my job. I mean, you all pay my salary for me to be your servant in this situation. So if you ever need assistance getting that, or if you're not getting a call back, please reach out to my office. You can just Google my name. My number will be right there on the top. Please, at any point, you can do that. I do also want to just say that the 601 housing inspections, that's a massive number for exactly how affected it is. And we all know how long a country mile is in our mountain road. So I do really want to give really kudos to you, to the FEMA and to you yourself, John. I do appreciate that. If there's anything we can do to expedite that, to get more inspections done more quickly, please let me know. And I do want to remind everybody, in addition to being able to reach out to my office, I'm going to give that phone number one more time if you will have your pen ready. That phone number to reach out to FEMA for assistance is 800-621-3362. And so anyways, I do just again want to say, John, thank you very much. John, please, I do hope you'll be able to stay on the call for a little bit longer in case we have questions from our constituents that will directly be related to you. And I do want to move on right now to someone who, I think is doing a great job in this actual crisis, and that is Kathy Cook with the Small Business Administration. I know she was having some technical difficulties earlier, but Kathy, are you on with us?
I am, sir.
Thank you. Please, could you give us a quick update, just exactly what's going on with the SBA?
Sure. And thank you for the opportunity, Congressman. Unlike our name, the Small Business Administration, SBA is not restricted to just helping businesses, but in fact, we help businesses of all sizes, nonprofit organizations, homeowners, and renters. Yes, I said homeowners and renters. The majority of all of our applicants are homeowners and renters. As a result of registering first with FEMA, many residents will be referred to the SBA. What we provide is low interest, long-term disaster loans to cover what is not compensated by FEMA grants or insurance. Our loans for homeowners can be as large as $200,000 for real estate, up to $40,000 for content damage. And not to forget the businesses, we can help businesses with their physical disaster damages up to $2 million. And small businesses and most nonprofits are eligible for up to $2 million for their economic injury. Economic injury is an important component because our loans go beyond the 3 counties that were declared by FEMA. Every county that touches Buncombe, Haywood, and Transylvania, regardless of what state they're in, is automatically eligible for economic injury disaster loans. These are loans to help keep the business in business, whether or not they sustain physical damage. That means to pay the mortgage, the lease payments, payroll taxes, real estate fees, all of those types of things that the business could have covered had the disaster not occurred. But for physical losses, they must be in one of the 3 counties that was declared by FEMA, Buncombe, Hayward, and Transylvania. Think of FEMA and SBA as hand in glove. We work together in tandem to help the individuals, homeowners and renters with their uncompensated or uninsured losses. And we too are just a phone call away. But we prefer that everybody first try to apply online, sba.gov/disaster, or they can visit one of our business recovery centers. We have one in Hayward County, and that's at the Hayward Community College, and that's 112 Industrial Park Drive. And we have another one in Buncombe County at the Asheville-Buncombe Technical Community College, 1465 Sand Hill Road, and that's in Candler. We want to encourage everyone not to count themselves out. Realize that if we can't help you, then we will refer individuals, homeowners and renters back to FEMA for additional assistance. And if we decline someone, we give them up to 6 months to ask for reconsideration. So they have another shot at getting a loan approval. So don't count yourself out. The recovery is here, and we're happy to serve. Thank you, Congressman, for the opportunity to speak.
Kathy, thank you very much for that update. That does mean a lot to me. I do want to move on right now to Rob Satterfield with the United States Department of Agriculture, an incredible department. I think that they are doing really, really great work, especially in our district. So, Rob, thank you for being on this call. I know we have a very large agricultural district, specifically in some of the affected areas. So, please, if you could give us a quick update from your point of view and what's going on with you, I'd love to hear it.
Thank you, Congressman, and thank you for this opportunity to join. USDA and Farm Service Agency offers several programs to provide financial assistance and to help farmers get back in operation who suffered damage. I want to share a short PowerPoint with some of the programs that we offer. The program is probably most commonly used is the Emergency Conservation Program. That provides cost share assistance to remove debris from cropland and farm roads, restore permanent fences, to grade, shape, re-level cropland that's been damaged, and restore conservation structures that have been damaged. It pays approximately 75% of the cost of repairing this damage. And if you've suffered any damage to farmland, the first thing you need to do is contact your local Farm Service Agency Service Center and let them know what type of damage you have and the extent of damage. And one important thing is not to start repairs until we've come out and done a farm visit. There are exceptions to that. We know there are emergency situations that you have to take care of, and you can go ahead and take care of those emergency situations. Another thing is to take pictures and document your expenses, because we will need a record of your expenses when repairs are completed. Another program we have is the Emergency Forest Restoration Program. It's similar to the ECP program, except it's for forest land. And it pays about 75% of the cost to remove unsellable debris, prepare the site for replanting, and to replant those trees. If you have damage to forest land, talk to your county forest ranger and let them come out and look at your damage, and then they may put you in contact with the Farm Service Agency. We also have the Tree Assistance Program, and that provides financial assistance to commercial producers of nurseries, orchards, and vineyards. For nurseries, it only applies to trees and shrubs, does not apply to annual plants, but it pays about 75% of the cost for replanting and replacing those plants, and 50% of the cost if you have trees that can be rehabilitated. If you have this type of damage, again, contact your local service center and report that damage. We will need to make a visit and verify the damage. And again, document your damage and all your repair and replacement costs. We also have a couple of programs that help with livestock. The Livestock Indemnity Program provides financial assistance if you've had livestock deaths caused by the weather. So if you had livestock that got trapped and drowned, this program can provide assistance on that. You need to contact our office within 30 days, and we will need to know the type of livestock, the total number of head that you have, the number that died, and the number that previously died during the year due to normal mortality. The Emergency Livestock Assistance Program provides financial assistance for losses of honeybee colonies or hives, livestock feed that was in storage, grazing losses due to flooding, and it covers farm-raised fish. And I know we had several fish farms that were damaged, and this program will provide financial assistance for those losses. If you want to get more information from the Farm Service Agency, you can go to fsa.usda.gov. and go into programs and services. And then under disaster assistance, you can also find contact information here for your local service center, and information about other programs we offer. So again, thank you for asking me to join, and thanks for having this meeting.
Rob, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for your knowledge on this situation. Rob, I actually have a question for you first, just because we do have so much agriculture in this area. And I know in 2004, there was an exception to the rule of because really we have so many of our farmers who they have so much flood damage on their property, but they have to wait until your department is able to come out and do an actual visit to their farm, to be able to look around and document the damage before they can actually repair the area. And now, as you well know, for a lot of these farmers, especially ones who need to plant cover crops, this is kind of untenable. And for a lot of them, they also have a lot of HB2 workers that are on site who just really have nothing to do. And if they send them back and then you come out the next day, they're really just kind of out of luck. But I know in 2004, there was an exception made that allowed them to document and upload pictures on their own, and then for them to be able to work. I know the farmers in my district, I know they're all very trustworthy. I don't believe they would abuse this system. Do you foresee us being able to have one of those exceptions to where my farmers can get back to work more quickly by documenting this damage on their own?
Well, one of the things we have to do during the farm visit is an environmental evaluation to make sure that what's being done is not causing any environmental problems. And we can't get a waiver for that. We have to do that environmental evaluation before the work starts. But I know there has been some concern that it could be a long period before we get out to do that farm inspection. And I don't think that's going to be the case. We've already started doing some inspections, and I think we're going to get a big majority of those done next week. So I don't think it's going to be a long wait for us to come out and do those farm visits.
Well, Rob, thank you very much for the work you do. I know all of my farmers, they appreciate the work the secretary does and the work that you do yourself. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to move on to some questions that we have asked from some of my constituents. The first one's going to be for John Boyle with FEMA. One of my constituents, Kim, asked, does any federal assistance go to nonprofit organizations? Speak a little on how that process works, please.
So the nonprofit organizations have potential for eligibility if what they are doing is essentially a public service. So I think, and Joe and I were speaking of this with the folks in Transylvania County earlier this week, in fact, where a church that has homes that they rent out to it's basically open to the public. It's not just for church members, but open to the public, and they've had damage to those homes. There is potential under the public assistance program that they could apply for FEMA assistance. And again, it's not direct. We need to go through the process and work very closely with the state to work it through, and we'll evaluate those as they go along. So I think that's the key point is, if you have a question, contact us at the state, and we'll work with that applicant and help where we can.
Well, hey, thank you very much for that answer, John. And Kim, thank you very much for your question. There's another question. Okay, so this one's for myself. This one comes from a constituent of mine named Hannah. Asking, have you toured individual homes in the area? What were your thoughts, and what do constituents still need? Hannah, thank you first for that question. I want to get right into it. Obviously, being in a wheelchair, there were several limitations that kept me out of a lot of these homes just because of the extent of the damage. But once we did get into Crusoe the morning after the flood, we got to go into a lot of these homes. And I'll tell you, my initial thoughts, it was really just heartbreak. It was sorrow. There were so many people who, they were just beyond words. They were beyond really being able to speak about things. And I got to go speak at a church service that Sunday following the floods. And we were talking about how, God will never give you anything more than you can handle. And I pointed out that that's never in the Bible. I think that God will never give you more than you can handle without him to lean on. And so I think that a lot of people needed to be reminded that, because, their entire world had been washed away by a flood. And that's something that I just can't imagine, having that level of devastation that happened overnight. All these people probably had plans the next day. And then all of a sudden that was all wrecked. And so asking what constituents need, we have a lot of incredible organizations that have been on the ground. Biltmore Baptist Church has been doing a lot of great work. Trinity Baptist out of Buncombe County with their incredible organization called Hearts with Hands. They've been doing a great job. And really, these organizations, they've been giving them a lot of the physical assets they need, whether it's nourishment, whether it's just kind of the sanitary items that they might need, or any feminine hygiene equipment. And so they're doing a great job. But, something I think is that it might be going overlooked in a lot of situations is just landscaping help. I mean, a lot of these people, they've ripped out all the drywall, they've ripped out a lot of the things that could be that could cause mold, and they're starting to go through rebuilding their homes and rebuilding their lives. But I think there comes a certain level of pride when your property is in order and you look out and you see that, everything looks the way it should. And so if anybody ever has any opportunity to go out and volunteer with a landscaping organization to go out and just try and give these people some dignity and peace of mind again, I think that'd be great. But a lot of these issues really just requires the federal government assisting. And so to end that question of yours, if anybody needs any help cutting through any of the red tape, whether you're dealing with FEMA, whether you're dealing with the SBA, I know they're doing a really good job, but I would be honored to give you my assistance. So please just reach out to any of my offices. We'll be able to take care of you. Let's see. We know we've got one more question. I want to be cognizant of everybody's time, but this one comes from another constituent of mine asking Kathy Cook from the SBA. Kathy, her question is, many businesses are family owned and do not have flood insurance. Can you expound on the specific types of assistance that is available? Kathy?
You're eligible for a disaster loan for up to $2 million, or up to the limit of your physical damages and your economic injury, regardless of what size of business you are. The only caveat would be if you were required to have flood insurance, if you were a recipient of an SBA loan before, and you were required to have flood insurance and you let it lapse, that may be a problem because you're in non-compliance. But I wouldn't count yourself out. We want to encourage everybody to apply and get a response. So I would encourage you, as a mom and pop, which most businesses are, to take the time. It doesn't cost anything, but the time it takes to submit the application.
Great. Kathy, that means a lot. All right, so everyone, I do want to conclude this. Joe, with the Department of Public Safety in North Carolina, thank you for everything the state's doing. You guys acted very quickly, and I appreciate that. John at FEMA, thank you very much. Please be doing everything you can and be in contact with me if you need any help, maybe getting designations for these other counties that you might need, the other 4 counties. Kathy, really, I do appreciate everything SBA is doing. I hear nothing but good things in the field. And Rob Satterfield, I got to tell you, man, I don't know what you do, but my farmers love you. So thank you very much for taking good care of them. And again, I'm here as an intermediary. Anybody that needs any help, any of the constituents who need help, please allow me to help you. I am here to be your servant. So everyone, I do appreciate it. And to all of those of you who are listening right now who have really been affected the most by this, I think one thing that I talk about the mountains whenever we go out is, everybody always, in any, classic story trope, there's the rugged mountain men, the rugged mountain people. And I think that's actually very accurate of the people of Western North Carolina. We are rugged. We are individualistic. We're very imaginative. We're incredible people who are able to take on very hard times. And I know that we have suffered great devastation over the past few weeks, but I believe that if we all call on that strength within us, if we all rely on the Lord, we will get through this. I'm here to serve you. Please, if anyone needs anything, I appreciate everybody who's being so strong to this, and I'm here for you. Thank you all.